Hey, everybody, and good morning, and welcome once again to the LMN Live Virtual Academy Training Classroom. My name's Chris Davies. I'm the Senior Education Specialist here with LMN, and today we're going to be introducing you guys to the wonderful world of job creation, and more importantly, how you guys can create your jobs for design build work or installation type work. Well, really, reality, whatever you guys decide to call it. But more specifically, now that you guys have learned about the budget and the price list, how to put together your CRM so you can organize your contacts and, of course, create your estimates, we now want to put aside our numbers and start working on our operational work, right? How your crews are going to know what they're going to be working on a day-to-day basis. And more importantly, how you guys can make sure that you know exactly what's going on in your landscaping business. So why exactly are you here and what's going to be in it for you today to attend this next 2-hour session? Well, essentially you're here today because again, you want to learn how to start using LMN. And so far you've only learned a really small piece of it, right? You've learned about, again, the budget, how the budget impacts your pricing, how your price list can be put together with your CRM contacts, and how to build an actual estimate. Well, that's great. Now you know how much money you can expect or how much money you've estimated to come in. But reality is we now need a job so that we know what we're actually going to be doing, right? What your crews are going to be sent out into the field to start working on. What projects are they going to be building or installing on the customer's property? So we need to show you guys on how to actually start putting together your jobs. And of course, we are going to be showing you a couple different ways to do this in today's session. So, what are we going to be talking about? Well, let's take a look at our agenda for this overall session today. First things first, in order to use the actual job creation feature or create jobs in your LMN account, we need to start with the basic job settings, right? So again, this is another tool that's available to you in LMN. And just like every tool that's available, you need to set it up. So of course, with every live virtual training session that you guys are going to be attending, you guys are going to learn how to set up each one of those tools. Now, we're going to start with the basics today, and we're going to show you how you can create your jobs from original estimates. Now, this is the easy way for you guys to be able to create your jobs. All the data that was contained or that was included in your original estimate will be available and created for you automatically in the actual job. So it does make things a little bit easier. Now, we're also going to show you guys and review some of the basics around LMN, like how you can set up additional users, crew members, crew leads, administrators, and so on and so forth. We're also going to take a very short and high-level view into the LMN Crew Mobile App. Now, this is not going to be LMN Crew Mobile App training. We are just going to give you a brief little overview of the LMN Crew Mobile App and basically how it works. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you've got it downloaded, right? So go to your app store, whether you're on Google or Apple, and look up LMN Crew, right? This is the app that your crews are going to be using while they're in the field. Now, with the LMN Crew mobile app, this is going to be used to create those timesheets for accurate job progress measurement as well as hourly payroll measurement. So you guys are going to know how many hours that your crews worked on a particular job site or on a particular project on that job site. So we're going to show you as administrators how you can edit and approve those timesheets for your payroll purposes. Now, we'll also be taking a look at how you guys can create jobs from scratch without an estimate. So this is a little bit more involved, a little bit more time consuming, but it is important for you guys to understand how to do this. There are going to be certain times where a customer is going to call you up and ask for you to build them something quickly, or maybe do a mulch application or a sod installation or whatever the case may be, and may not require an estimate. So you'll build out time and material type work. So in that situation, we're going to show you guys how you can do that in your LMN account as well. Now, we'll also show you as administrators how you can review live crew location and overall job progress at any given moment, at any point, at any time during your days. All right, so there's a lot to cover off today, which is why, you've blocked off 2 hours on your calendar today, but there is a lot to cover, and we'll make sure that we cover everything that we've just discussed. Now, in regards to our live virtual trainings, always remember that if you have any questions at any given time throughout the course of the webinar today, hit me up on that chat button or the Q&A box at the very bottom of your screen. Now, I also would encourage you guys that if a question does pop into your heads, submit it immediately, right? Let's not wait until the very end to ask your questions. If a question comes up, let me answer it for you. All right. So again, hit that chat button at the very bottom of your screen, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Now, I'm going to be walking through a sample or some demonstration material today, but for all intents and purposes, it will look very similar to what you may have in your accounts as well. Now, again, remember, it will look a little bit different, but it should make sense to you moving forward. Now, as always, in any of our virtual trainings, if we're setting up something or we're working within a certain feature, feel free to work alongside us. And if you get stuck anywhere, let me know. Now, one other point that I wanted to make to everybody while you're actively or closely paying attention to each and every single one of my words. Now, remember that these live virtual trainings are open to any landscaping company that has recently signed on with LMN or is revisiting any of our sessions. If you have any questions that might pertain to your company specifically that you consider to be private or confidential, I might suggest that you just write that question down rather than submitting it into this open forum and reaching out to our support team via chat, via email, via phone, and they'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If it's confidential or private, you may not want to share it with the rest of the group today. All right, so that's it for my basic introduction. So now let's start talking about creating your jobs in your LMN accounts. First thing that we need to really understand is what exactly is a job. Well, jobs in LMN are basically part of our time tracking platform or our progress tracking, right? So again, like we've said so far, like I said a little bit earlier, so far on Monday and Tuesday, you guys learned about the number side of things, right? How to build out your budget so that you know what your costs are, and of course, how your costs are going to impact the pricing that you're going to be charging or estimated pricing that you're going to be charging your customers. Well, the job side of things is not really numbers based. It's more operational based, right? This is where we're going to know exactly what we need to do on that project. How many estimated man hours do we have in this project? What materials are we estimating to use? And so on and so forth. So jobs themselves is now, again, that operational thing, right? You're going to be scheduling that job out, and you're going to be learning about that in week number 2 of your live virtual training sessions. Now, what exactly are the benefits of creating jobs in LMN? Well, number 1, it's going to help you to eliminate paperwork, time theft, and potential data entry mistakes. So let's look at each one of those benefits individually. Now, when we start talking about eliminating paperwork, what do we mean? Well, you guys have got LMN, right? You've got a digital or a online or a computerized platform that's going to help manage your overall business, right? From numbers to operations. So we don't want to get away with, having your crews writing down their times on a timesheet or having a clipboard with all the different job sites that they have to visit throughout the course of the day, or an outline giving them, or a binder that outlines what they're going to be doing on a particular project. That too, we also want to get rid of that stack of paperwork that's on your desk that's potentially keeping you hidden from the rest of your team. So what we want to do is we want to basically put it in an easily to organize and easily to manage environment where everything is available to everybody in your company. So again, by setting up individual users within your team to be able to access your LMN account, they too will have the information about a job, when it's scheduled, who's working on it, how long has it been worked on, what's the overall progress of that job, and so on and so forth. Now, time theft is another benefit of using LMN. Now, what exactly is time theft? Well, time theft, in essence, is basically your crews or your employees basically stealing time from you. And I know you're probably wondering, well, time isn't really physical. How do they steal it? Well, think about it this way. If I have a crew of 4 individuals that are out and about during the day or during the week and what have you, and they get to a job site at 9 o'clock, and they say that they wrote down on their timesheet. Remember, we want to eliminate that paper, and this is one of those reasons why. If they write down on their timesheet that they started at 8 o'clock, well, that's an extra hour of payroll that you guys are going to be paying out for, well, nothing, right? So they've stolen that hour in essence. Now, you might not think that's a really big deal, but in reality, this is a huge issue or a huge problem that affects the landscaping industry, especially for those of you guys, or especially for landscaping companies in general, not to point any fingers, but in the landscaping industry, those individuals or those companies that are still relying on, written timesheets, okay, there's no way to verify or to accurately measure that that's really what time they started. Now, there's a lot of trust involved with this, but time theft is a big problem. Okay. And again, using my example of a crew of 4 individuals saying that they started at 8 o'clock in the morning when in reality they started at 9. Well, that's an hour for each one of those employees on that crew. So that's 4 hours. And again, doesn't sound too significant. But if that crew does that same thing every single day for a week, well, now that's 20 hours, right? 5 days times 4 hours, that's 20 hours. And if they do that for a month, well, that's 80 hours, right? 4 weeks. So if you look at this and you pay your crews $20 an hour per employee, well, that can start to add up to a very, very, very large expense on your part. So again, it's just going to impact your overall revenue numbers at the end of the year because now you're spending more on payroll for nothing, right? So this is why we call it time theft, right? They've stolen, 80 hours, okay, in a payroll period or in a month that you are going to be forced to pay. So again, keep that in mind. Now, the last point here, or the last benefit for creating your jobs in LMN, is for data entry mistakes. All right. And I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. You're human. Okay. We're all human, right? I'm not an AI or I'm not a robot or anything like that. I make mistakes. Okay. You as well probably make mistakes. But what we want to, guys, or what we want to encourage you about, or at least instruct you about when it comes to LMN, is showing you guys the overall flow, how things basically are connected from one tool to another. So again, if you have accurately put together your budget and you've identified your true costs for labor and materials and equipment, and of course your overhead costs, well, this is going to ensure that your pricing is accurate moving forward. You are recovering your cost in the pricing that you've put together. You've marked it up with a positive profit margin revenue. So that way, every single line item is going to be generating you cost recovery as well as revenue. So we want to make sure that you guys understand that by taking that information from the price list and including it into an estimate, well, now you know that that estimate is going to be profitable, or that job is going to be profitable. And of course, today you're going to learn how you can take that estimate with all of that contained information on the project and how you can convert it into a job so that you know you've got all of that information automatically. No more data entry. Now, again, occasionally you guys are going to have to manually input data into LMN, and mistakes can happen. But as long as you guys get a good idea of how LMN operates or the flow of how LMN works, those mistakes are going to become few and far between. Now, one of the other features that LMN provides you guys in conjunction with our platform as well as our LMN Crew Mobile App is live real-time data on your crews and on your jobs. So you will be able to know where your crews are, what time they clocked in, where they were when they clocked in, what job site they're on, how long they've been on that job site, and of course, the overall amount of man hours that's been recorded against a particular project and or a job site. So all of this information is automatic and automated in the background. So this is not anything that you guys are going to have to manually enter into LMN, or that you're going to have to pick up a phone and call your crew leads and say, okay, guys, where are you? All right. You'll be able to see all that information through LMN. Now, when we start talking about time and material type work, we want to be able to track materials, right? What we've used versus what we estimated, what we've spent versus what we're earning back in as far as revenue, and so on and so forth. Now, we're going to make this really easy for you guys to be able to handle time and material type work through the LMN Crew mobile app, as well as a job that you guys are going to be creating in LMN. So it keeps things really nicely organized, right? Or manageable, right? From a business operations perspective. And always keep in mind that a lot of the data that you guys are recording in your LMN accounts, your estimates, your job information, your invoice information, and so on and so forth, as well as your timesheet information for payroll, all of this will sync up with your QuickBooks desktop or QuickBooks online accounts for accounting purposes, right? Always remember, guys, that LMN is a business management platform. We are not an accounting software. So we're going to use the best of the best, QuickBooks. So we make sure that we know that all the information that you guys are recording in your LMN account can be converted so that you can settle up in your accounting software as well. So there's a lot that we want to cover off here today, but there's a lot of good reasons why you guys should continue learning about how LMN works so that you guys now can start looking at the operational side of things to make it easier for yourselves as well as for your crews in the field. All right. So all that being said, if we're ready to hop into creating our jobs in LMN, hit that little react button at the very bottom of the screen. Give me a quick thumbs up. And if there's any questions about what I've covered off so far or what I've mentioned so far, hit me up on that chat button at the very bottom. All right, so I'm starting to see some thumbs to fly at my screen. So thank you very much for your participation on that one. The first thing that we want to start looking at this morning is our basic job settings, right? So again, this is yet another tool that's available to you in your LMN account. Now, so far, you've learned about the CRM tool, you've learned about the price list tool, and now we want to start the estimating tool. Let's not forget that one. And of course, now we want to start looking at your job tool, right? And like all the tools in LMN, they do require a little bit of setup. So let's hop into LMN together and let's take a look at how you guys can get your account set up for creating jobs in LMN. So by sharing my screen here, you guys can all see my LMN account. Where are we going to go, right? So again, down the left-hand side of your screen, when you guys have, if you've got your window closed or fixed, opened, whatever the case may be, remember that, guys, if you haven't figured this one out before or yet, at the very top of your screen, you've got a collapse and expand button. If you want your tool menu open all the time, click on that little button and it will keep it open. If you don't, basically, it'll collapse on itself after you've actually made your selection. So again, entirely up to you guys how you want to operate this. So for now, I'm just going to leave it open. Now, at the very bottom of your screen, you've got your settings menu, and under your settings menu, it basically mirrors our tool menu, okay? So essentially, you've got your CRM tool, you've got your estimating tool, you've got your job tool, right? And of course, in the tool menu on the left-hand side, CRM, estimating, jobs, right? Pretty straightforward. So we want to first take a look at some of your basic settings, okay, in order to get your jobs created accurately or correctly moving forward. Now, we're not going to be talking about everything in our job settings menu, and the main reason is one of those job settings are services. And today we're going to be focusing on job creation for design build or installation work. You do not need services for design build. Okay, services in the jobs menu or in the job settings, those are for maintenance. So tomorrow, when you guys are learning about job creation for maintenance work, this is where that might be run through again by my colleague Jay. Now, first thing that we want to talk about today are your job types. Now, when you start first talking about job types, if you guys remember in our estimating session, we talked about setting up your individual divisions, right, as one of the actual settings that you're setting up. But in jobs, we want to start diversifying our work a little bit further than just strictly design build, okay? So you do have an option of being able to create more flexibility, or what I like to call diversity, okay, in your overall work, depending on the type of job that you are going to be building or that you're going to be creating. So this is where the job type feature or the job type tool within the actual jobs tool, okay, can help you out with this. Now, job types allow you guys a little bit more, I guess, accuracy, but that's not really the right word I want to use. Maybe a little bit more specific information, right? I know I was trying to say something else. You guys probably figured out what it was, but look, it's early in the morning and it's not coming out right. Anyway, you've got design build, you've got enhancements, environmental protection, government work. This list can be as detailed or as diverse as you need it to be, or it can be as simple as you want it to be. Now, when you first signed on with LMN, if you have not played around with the actual job types feature yet, you chances are probably pretty good. You've got 3, maybe 4 job types in your account: design build, maintenance, snow and ice, and potentially lighting or irrigation, right? But you definitely have the 3, right? Maintenance, design build, snow and ice. Now, if you want to diversify this work a little bit further, maybe you want to identify paver jobs versus, design build, or you want to specify that this is a woodworking or a construction or an enhancement job versus a straightforward design build job. It's entirely up to you. To create your actual job types in LMN or to expand your list, you're going to click the Add New button up in the top right-hand corner and enter in what that type of job is. So again, hardscape, softscape, okay? Construction, enhancement, okay? Irrigation, lighting, right? Whatever you guys want to use, it's entirely up to you, okay? You then want to identify what category of work is this? Is it a production type category of work or non-production? So think of it as, is this work that we are building or is it work that we are not building? Okay, so billable versus unbillable, if that makes any sense. So if we're going to be creating an enhancement type job or an enhancement job type, okay, we would want to make sure that that's a production category. All right. Now, down the very bottom, the prompt settings are basically tying this type of job into the information that you as an administrator want to get back from your crews in the field when they're clocking in and out of this type of job. So essentially, you've got 4 different prompt settings, okay, that's going to help get you set up. And the first one are your task notes. So this is basic feedback or general information of what your crews or crew lead did while they were on that job site or working on that particular type of job. Now, again, this is automatically going to, if you have it set as yes, it will automatically prompt them or provide them with the field for them to enter in some particular feedback notes. Yeah, we did this today, we did this today, we did this today, we didn't do this today, and so on and so forth, right? Again, it's just kind of like what did you guys actually do while you were there, right? Some feedback. Now, your next task or your next prompt is for weather comments. And this one should be turned on. Well, in reality, all of these should be turned on, but I'm going to explain why in a second. Weather comments is not going to require your crew lead or your foreman to open up their weather app and copy the information or remember what the information was in the weather app and then input that note into the actual task specifically or individually. LMN has actually made this really, really easy for you. Okay, so we would recommend, or at least I do, I recommend that you turn these weather comments and have them turned on or selected to yes. Okay, the reason is we've automated this in the background, right? You all have a phone on you, I'm assuming right now, right? If you reach into your pocket or your purse or your jacket pocket or your wallet, whatever the case may be, okay, you've got a phone. And on that phone, just like we all do, every single morning, we check to see what the weather's like. So we know, well, how do we dress today? Do we wear a short sleeve? Do we wear a long sleeve? Do we wear pants? Do we wear a snow jacket? Do we wear a toque? Do we wear earmuffs? Right? We need to know what the weather's like while we're actually going to work or when we're going to be out in the field. Now, that weather app, okay, automatically tells you what the weather conditions are like and provides you with what the weather's going to be like throughout the course of the day. So what LMN has done, okay, because that weather app is capturing that weather, the temperature, the conditions, and so on and so forth from the local cell phone signal, well, we're going to automatically capture that information from the cell phone signal and automatically fill out those notes. So on every job that your crews are going to be working on throughout a schedule or throughout the week or whatever the case may be, it's good to have those weather comments turned on, because with every single clock in and clock out, you're going to know exactly what the weather was like while the crew was on that job site for that day. The other cool piece of information about this too is it will also be shared throughout through the customer portal. So if you are using our customer portal and you are providing your customers with accurate job information on a day-to-day basis, your customers will also be able to see what the weather was like while your crew was on the job site that day, right? So it does make things really easy. It's not going to require your crew leader foreman to go, I think it's a little windy today, and I think it's around, I don't know, 27 degrees Celsius or 75, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, we don't need to do that. We're capturing that signal automatically from the cell phone tower, and it will automatically populate that note, right? Really nice and easy. Now, equipment comments is another field or another prompt that you guys can have turned on. It's a yes or no option as well. Now, it's entirely up to you if this is something that you guys want to turn on or turn off or keep or have turned off. The equipment comment section is not related or has nothing to do with job costing. Okay, so for those of you that have been part of our or that are planning on taking part in our job costing session next week, okay, the job costing part of equipment is not being captured here. What this is going to do for you or for your crews is just accurately tell you what piece or what specific piece of equipment was used on that job site during that time that they were clocked in, right? Very, very straightforward. Now, you guys can look at this in a bunch of different ways as to its overall usefulness. Do you want to know how many hours that a piece of equipment was used in the field? Do you want to know, what day that piece of equipment was used and for how long, and so on and so forth? Now, I do want to clarify that this will not tell you exactly how long a skid steer or a mini X or an excavator were used on that job site during that day. If your crews clock in at 8 o'clock in the morning and they clock out at 6 o'clock at night, well, LMN is going to record that excavator was on the job site for 10 hours. This can be used for maintenance checks, right? You can run a simple report out of LMN to let you know how many hours has this piece of equipment been used in the field, right? So on and so forth. Now, when you guys are selecting, or if you guys decide to use the equipment comments as far as a feedback report, it does also require a little bit of extended setup on this. So I'm going to click on cancel for now. And under my settings menu and under my timesheet settings, I want to create an equipment list. Okay. Again, this has got nothing to do with pricing. It's got nothing to do with job costing. All you want to know, or all you might want to track in your accounts, is what piece of equipment was used during the time that my crew was clocked into that job site. So again, you can have mini excavators, loaders, dump trucks, skid steers, whatever the case may be. To add in a piece of equipment, again, click the plus add new button, enter in the piece of equipment, and click on save, right? It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So essentially, what this is basically going to allow you to do then is at the end of a year or at the end of a quarter, if you guys want to run a report on a piece of equipment to get a good understanding of how long has it been in the field or how many hours is it spent in the field, you can go to our reports feature in LMN and start looking at your job reports. Under your job reports, I believe it's report number 15. Yep, it is. Okay. So report number 15 will allow you to run a report of all the equipment that was recorded on timesheets for a certain date range. So if I want to look at where we are looking at for, let's say, the current year to date, okay? So from January 1st to August 24th, I can submit and run an Excel report that shows all the pieces of equipment that we've set to be tracked, okay, on timesheets. And essentially, it will look something like this. Okay, it's a very easy to use or very simple Excel report. Okay, that will allow you to filter your report by a certain piece of equipment. So if I want to look at my truck and trailer, for instance, okay, I can highlight that one, and basically I can see that we're looking at a total of 3.25 hours, or 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, I can filter by another option here, by my equipment, and let's say my crew truck. Okay, and again, I can highlight that entire column and I can see that we're looking at 11.5 hours, right? And so on and so forth. Now, I would probably recommend, okay, that if you guys are going to use this feature or you are going to ask for this kind of feedback information, you may look at specific types of specialty equipment, right? Loaders, excavators, okay, skid steers, whatever the case might be. You don't need to put in a crew truck, right? Crew truck, we kind of know already that it's been used, because how did the crew get to the job site in the first place and how did they get back, right? So it's pretty straightforward. So reality is, let's look at those specialty pieces of equipment, right? And you can always use this report for many, 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 many reasons, right? Maybe a crew lead comes up to you at the end of a quarter and says, hey, boss, we need a new skid steer. Okay, why? Well, it's old and we're using it all the time and so on and so forth, but I think it's time that we get a new one. You can run a report on your skid steer to accurately find out how many hours it's been tracked in the field, and then come to the conclusion that, well, you know what? It's only been used for 13 hours. We don't need a new one, right? Or, hey, you know what? You're right. It's been used for 800 hours. Okay. Maybe it is time that we at least get it serviced, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay. Whatever the cases might be. So again, just understand that this tool has got nothing to do with job costing. It's just going to give you how many hours it was actually used in the field or tracked in the field. Okay. So we're not going to save that document. We're going to go back into our job settings, okay, and finish off our job types, okay? So if we go back and take a look at our design build job type, okay, we got our task notes turned on. We've got our weather comments turned on, equipment comments. For now, we're going to leave these off. And now, actually, you know what? In my demonstration, I want to show you guys what this looks like. So we're going to actually turn that one on. And now we've got our last feature called the drive time shortcut. Okay. Many landscaping companies that are using LMN have asked us, hey, we want to be able to track how much time is spent driving versus how much time is spent on the actual job site. And we want to make this, or we wanted to make this, as easy as possible. So if you add in this drive time shortcut, it makes it really easy for your crews to be able to clock into when they're driving versus when they're actually on the job site, and for you to determine how much time was spent driving versus how much time was actually spent doing productive work on the actual job site on maybe a particular work area and or task. So we've added this drive time shortcut. It has an option of yes or no, but in reality, every single job that you guys are creating in your LMN account, you should have this turned on. Okay. It does make things really easy for you guys and your crews in the field to be able to log their windshield time versus their actual working on the job site time. Right. So please do yourselves a favor. Go into all of your job types that you've got currently and any that you guys are going to be adding to your account moving forward. Please make sure you've got this one turned on, and I will show you exactly what this will do for you when we get into covering off our LMN Crew Mobile App. Okay, so click on save, and now you've got your job type set up. Okay, now our next setting that we want to start talking about are defaulted tasks. Okay, defaulted tasks are tasks that you guys want to include in a job site, but maybe that you are not estimating for in the original project. Okay. So remember when you guys were creating that original estimate, we're going to review the estimate that we created yesterday in our CRM and design build estimating session. But what we're going to be reviewing is the defaulted tasks, right? So things that you guys want to track time against that maybe were not estimated in the first place. So things like extra work and changes, for instance. Okay. Not every job is going to have extra work or changes made, but If they do, if the customer happens to come up to your crew and say, hey, listen, guys, while you're here, do you mind doing this for me? Or could you do this for me? Or whatever the case may be. You want to accurately track how much time was actually spent on the job doing that extra work or that additional work that wasn't originally proposed. Additionally, we always have to ensure that we've got something for warranty, right? For unbillable, for repairs, because you know what? Sometimes things happen where things get broken or things get damaged and we've got to go back and we've got to fix it. Okay. Or things just don't work, right? And we got to go back and we got to repair it, whatever the case may be. But more importantly, you as the actual owner or administrator, you want to be able to track how much time was spent doing that, right? This is unbillable work. We're not billing our customer for it, but I, as a business owner, still have to pay my crews to do it. So I want to track it as how much time there is. Now, extra work and changes, this one's an easy one, all right? In your terms and conditions, again, which you learned about in our CRM and design build estimating session, in your terms and conditions, chances are probably pretty good that you have a block of text or a paragraph in there that says for any extra work over and above what's quoted in this proposal. And again, I'm kind of using my lawyer or my legal voice, but you kind of know where I'm going with this. In those terms and conditions, there should be something, or there probably is something that says we're going to charge X amount of dollars per hour and plus the price of materials and or equipment. Well, extra work and changes, okay, does not need to be estimated, right? You're going to estimate out the backyard patio and garden beds. You're going to do the lighting enhancement, right? And so on and so forth. Those are quoted prices, right? For those projects that the customers requested. Now, extra work and changes, again, you've included in your terms and conditions. It's stated what you're going to charge per hour plus, it may not state the actual pricing, but it might state that, plus the charge for any materials and equipment. And what you guys can do is add in a default task so that it gets automatically added to the job. Now, defaulted tasks, okay, again, to create them, click on your add new button, enter in the task that they're going to be doing or that you want to track time against. And then, of course, assign it to the various or the individual job type that you have created in your account. So again, if I want to do extra work and changes for snow removal work, I can add it to this one. If I want to do extra work and changes and add it to design build, I can do it for that one, right? Very, very straightforward. And then always, always, always identify the cost code that it's going to match up for in your QuickBooks account as well. Okay. So again, design build, ground maintenance, irrigation and lighting, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, once that's done, at the very bottom, if this is going to be extra work and changes that you are going to be billing by the hour, let's make sure that you've got your track hours and rates for billing by the hour checked off. Okay. What this will do is help you guys with your invoicing. Okay. So we'll automatically track how many hours were worked on that particular task so it can generate an invoice for you moving forward. Okay. Really straightforward, really, really easy. Okay. Now, that's defaulted tasks. Now, the last setting that we want to talk about, remember, we are skipping services today. We want to talk about your hourly rates. Your hourly rates are what you are going to charge for any task that you are going to be billing for the hour. Changes in extras, for instance, time and material type work, so on and so forth. Okay. So what you need to do is set up your hourly rates. Now, here is a question for you. Where do you think is the best place for you guys to be able to find what your hourly rates should be entered in as? Where in LMN would you find that information? Hit your chat button if you know if you know the answer to this one. There's no wrong answers, by the way, but I'd like to see if you guys have a good idea as to where you might find that information. So where in LMN would you find the information to determine or to enter in what your hourly rate should be, what your billable hourly rate should be? No guesses? Joanne, budget? Okay. Good guess. Anybody else? Joanne is my only brave soul today. Jennifer, price list. Yes. Okay. So Jennifer, you're right. Joanne, you were on the right track. Okay. The budget will basically help you to determine what your hourly cost will be. Okay. But the price list is where you guys are actually going to determine or have the information for you to give you what your pricing should be based on a per man hour price. Okay. For any time and material type work. So again, good job, both of you. So in order for you guys to start building out your hourly rates of what you're going to be charging per man hour, okay, just simply go back into your price list and look at your labor catalog. Okay. So this is going to be determining what your design build labor for one individual should be, what your rate per hour should be, right? $35.24. If you open this up and start looking at this in a little bit more detailed information, we know that it costs us $20 per man hour for this employee, right? This is how much we pay them. We know that we've got to mark it up 18% to cover off our, workers' comp and insurance and all that kind of stuff, right? Our labor burden. Okay. And we know that we're going to also mark it up another 34% to contribute to our overhead, which means our break even point is $31.72. Well, we also want to mark that up for profit. And we know that at $35.24, that's 10%. So we're making 10% net revenue, okay, on that hourly rate. Now, if you want more or you want less, remember, you can always adjust it to a custom profit margin or a custom price. But reality is this price right here is ensuring if this is what you want to set your hourly rate up to, okay, you know that this is not only going to be profitable, okay, but it is also recovering all of your costs. So if you were to charge $35.24 per man hour, your costs are covered, you're making money, okay? So again, you're going to go to your price list and basically decide which pricing you guys want to use to set up your hourly rates. Now, again, you can also, okay, just go from scratch on these as well. So if you go into your hourly rates list, you can add in a new rate and say what that rate is for, right? This rate is for irrigation repairs, right? What's our irrigation repair rate? Okay. What is our woodworking rate or our carpentry rate? Okay. What is our rate for doing any hardscape installation? Okay. And so on and so forth. You do have the option of creating multiple rates. Okay. Or you can just simply classify it as design build or enhancement or installation. It's entirely up to you how you want to word it, right? If I haven't said this before, okay, or if you haven't heard this before, the LMN account, guys, that you guys are looking at on your own computers in your own office, that's yours. Okay. Make it work for you. Don't change the way you guys do things just so that it works within LMN. Okay. So make it work for you, not the other way around. All right. So again, enter in your rates and what you want to charge. Is it per hour? Is it a flat rate? And so on and so forth. Is it taxable? Okay. And kind of keep that in mind, right? This is going to be very, very important when you guys start building out time and material type jobs, okay, from scratch a little bit later on in today's session, okay? So we've talked about job types, we've talked about default tasks, we've talked about hourly rates. So to this point now, okay, we are essentially done with getting set up with our actual job settings. So we can now start going ahead and create jobs from or create jobs in our LMN account. So there are a couple different ways that you guys can create jobs in LMN. And the easiest way or the most fluid way, I guess, is to create jobs from your original estimates. So let's take a look at the estimate that we created yesterday in our CRM and design build estimating session. And let's show you guys how you can take that and convert it into an actual job. All right. So if I jump back into my LMN account, let's pull up that estimate that we built yesterday. So we're going to go into our standard estimate list and we're going to take a look at the one that was built on the 27th. And we know that it's a design build job. And this one had garden beds and planning and a lighting project. All right. So very, very straightforward. Now, before you guys go and create jobs from your estimates, there is a very, very simple 3-point checklist that I would recommend that you guys look at or identify before you go in and create your job or simply convert your estimate into a job. Okay. They're pretty straightforward, pretty easy to remember. Right. First checklist item for a estimate conversion or an estimate to a job creation should be that the job or that the estimate has been approved. Right. Kind of makes sense, right? I mean, it's kind of straightforward. You're probably going, yeah, duh, right? Chris, we know that, right? We're not going to create a job if an estimate hasn't been approved. You'd be surprised, okay, at how many times I've had to remind people to just verify this. But LMN does not restrict how many jobs that you guys can create in your account, right? So if for any reason you guys feel that every estimate that you create should have a job created for it as well, whether the customer approves it or not, I would probably recommend that that's going to be a very disorganized or inefficient way to manage your business operations, okay? Reality is, if a customer has said yes to your proposal, you're going to have a job for it. If the customer has said no to your proposal, you're not going to have a job for it, right? That is a lost proposal or a lost job. Okay. There's no reason to create a job from it. Okay. So to strengthen my point, checklist item number 1, make sure your estimate is sold. Ta-da. Now, checklist item number 2, crew notes. Okay. Do your crews or do the individuals that are going to be in the field working on this job have all the information they need to do this work? Okay. Whether it be the garden bed and planting or whether it be the lighting enhancement, do they have everything available to them to know what they need to do? So we want to check the crew notes, right? We want to take a look at the garden beds. We know that the gate code is 201. Mark would like a large garden in his front lawn and possibly a smaller garden in the backyard. Okay. So we kind of have an idea now that we know that we know how to get into the backyard because we've got the gate code. But the second thing is we know that we want to put the big one in the front and maybe a small one in the back. Okay. Now, when we're doing the lighting, okay, we know that we're doing it from the front walkway to the main entry, and it's going to be entrance lighting. We know what tools we're going to need and what the overall installation process is, okay? Now, why is this important? Well, because guys, we want your crews to be as efficient as possible when they get to the job site. So by providing crew notes in the original proposal, okay, these crew notes will then become or get transformed into what we call a task note. Okay. And the task note automatically is populated or shown to them the moment they clock into that particular project. So if I clock into the lighting enhancement, I'm going to see that I need to go from the walkway to the front entrance, and this is my overall installation steps. Or if I clock into the garden beds, I know that I'm putting a big one out front and a small one in the back, and I need gate code 201 to get into the backyard in the first place. Okay. Really nice and easy. They are not going to have to get to the job site, stop what they're doing, pick up the phone and call you and say, okay, I'm here. What do I do? All right. That's inefficient. That's wasted time, right? So we want to make sure that your crews get to the job site and know exactly what they need to do and how to do it, right? Moving forward. So checklist item number 2, crew notes. Checklist item number 3 is ensure that you've got a contract set up. Okay. Now, you might not think that this is very important, or you may not think this is necessary, but reality is, okay, when you guys have got a contract set up in your actual estimate, it automatically gets created for you in the job. When the job is basically done, okay, you are going to want to send out an invoice to get paid for that work that you've done, right? That kind of goes without saying, right? Pretty straightforward, pretty common knowledge. But more importantly, you may not be the individual that's generating invoices in LMN. It might be somebody else on your team that couldn't be with us today. Well, if that's the case, do you want to rely on that individual to make sure that they create a contract in order for them to send out to the customer? Do you know, or does that individual know what the actual agreed upon price was without having to do a little bit of research and look at the original estimate in the first place? Okay. If you have it available in the contract, okay, in the original estimate, when you create the job, which I'm about to show you, okay, that information is there for you. Okay. So again, you guys are a team. right? Your company and everybody that's going to be working on this particular job or any particular job, you guys are a team. Help your team out, okay? So make it easier for everybody. So checklist item number one, right? Well, let's use my fingers rather than my thumb, right? Number one, let's make sure that the estimate or proposal has been sold. Number two, let's make sure that the crews have all the information that they need to do this project. Number three, let's make sure that we've got our contract set up and our milestone billing set up so we know exactly how much to invoice and when to invoice, okay, for each one of those steps throughout the project, right? So again, very, very basic or very, very simple three-step process. Now, when you decide to actually go ahead and create the job, or once you've got that confirmation back from your customer that has been sold or has been agreed upon or approved, whatever terminology you guys want to use, you can go back to your work areas and pricing tab and click on create job, or you can go to customer info and click on create job. Okay. A second thing that you guys might want to also consider when you guys are creating your jobs or when you're reviewing your estimates prior to them being created as jobs is also mark that estimate now that it's been approved, okay, for QuickBooks export. Okay, so for those of you that are using QuickBooks online or desktop, okay, if you're using online and you click on this mark for QuickBooks export, the next time you sync up your LMN account to QuickBooks, this estimate will now be included in your estimate list to move over into your QuickBooks account. Okay. Same idea with desktop users. Okay. If you're using our LMN Sync app for desktop, okay, click on that little button and it will automatically be available to you in that export list. Okay. So again, keeps things really nice and easy for you. Okay. There's no right way or wrong way. You can create a job first, then mark it for export, then create a job. Entirely up to you. Okay. Again, no right way or wrong way to do this. Okay. So if I click on the create job button, again, whether it's under customer info or work areas and pricing, they both do the exact same thing. Okay. I can click on this create job button and now I get a job created for me. Okay. So remember in our original estimate, okay, we only had garden beds and planting and lighting as a proposed project. When we create our job, we're getting our garden beds and planting, our lighting, and we're getting our defaulted tasks added for us automatically so that we don't have to remember to do it. Okay. Defaulted tasks just provide you guys with a little bit of help, right? You don't have to remember how to do things. It just does it for you automatically. You've got 1,000,001 things going on at any given time. So let's make sure that anything that could be required is already there. Okay. So we've got our extra working changes. We've got our warranty repairs. Okay. We've got our crew notes coming over. That's automatically selected for us. And we've got this sorted by most amount of hours to least amount of hours. Okay. If you want to adjust this, okay, to the order in which they were established in the original proposal, which in this case, they're exactly the same. But if I was doing 5 different projects for this customer on the job site and each one was all over the place, it would be in the exact same order. Okay. It's entirely up to you guys how you want to do it, but it was asked that LMN create an option so that I can sort them in most amount of hours to least. There you go. Okay. We're going to click on the import now button and we're going to create our job. Okay. You can see how quick that was, how nice and easy it was. And remember, no data entry. Okay. I haven't done any data entry. It's all been done automatically for me. So I've got my job info and settings. So I've got all my CRM information. I've got the actual customer's property address or the job site address, the billing address. I've got the GPS coordinates of the address and so on and so forth. Now, when you go to the assignments tab, this is now going to help you guys report on or provide your individuals on your team with revenue accumulation towards maybe their bonus goals and so on and so forth. So for instance, this estimate was sold by Shishini and the estimator was also Shishini. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to just say that the estimator was LMN Academy, right? 2 different people. Shishini sold the job. Academy basically built out the estimate. Now, in this case here, we've got an accountant project manager, and I want to give that to George because George is the account manager for Mark Johns. If I know who the crew lead is going to be on this job, I want to assign that to that person as well. So I'm going to choose from my list of users and decide who is going to be the crew lead that is going to be working primarily on this job. If I don't know yet, I can leave this one blank, okay? And I know this is for my design build division. I'm going to click on update all related invoices and click on yes. Now you're probably wondering, why is this important, or why do I need to do this? Well, for many of you, each one of these individuals that you would be selecting in your in this list may have a revenue target in order for them to basically be given their bonus at the end of the year, right? Shishini has to generate X amount of dollars in revenue this year in order for her to get her bonus, right? George needs to generate enough money or enough revenue in sales in order for him to get his bonus, and so on and so forth. Well, when you guys are setting up your actual users, okay, you guys can go back into your dashboards and you can look at your jobs and or your estimates and or your staff revenue, okay, and you can determine by your staff revenue based on their role within the company. So if I want to look at salesperson, okay, Chris needs to sell $450,000 worth of work this year, and so far he's sold 313,000. George, he needs to sell 300,000. He's so far sold 588. Okay, so he's doing very well. He's going to get his bonus. Chris, maybe not so much. Okay, if I look at the account manager side of things, right, or crew leads, okay, whatever the cases might be, any invoice that's generated out of LMN after you've done those assignments will automatically account for the revenue for that invoice to those selected individuals, the account manager, the salesperson, and or the crew lead, right? So again, this is an easy metric for you guys to be able to go back to at any given time to say, hey, Chris, as a salesperson, you kind of need to pull your socks up a little bit, bud. Okay? George is killing it. You need to get a little bit of work done. Okay. So that will basically kind of be a little bit of a trigger to be able to kind of give you guys an idea of how each individual is doing, okay, on their jobs and on their overall sales. Okay. So let's go back to our jobs list now, where we can look up that job that we just created. Okay. The job list, okay, is where all your jobs are going to be found. Now you can search for all jobs, all active jobs or inactive jobs. My recommendation to you all is to have this filtered by all of your active jobs. So once jobs are completed and finished, you want to deactivate them so they're no longer in your active job list, so that you guys have a nice, clean, and organized list of jobs. You can show which jobs have invoicing turned on, so which jobs have an actual contract established and which ones do not. So if I go to jobs with no invoicing, okay, I'm going to be able to see that all of these jobs do not have invoicing turned on. So I would need to manually go in here and adjust these to have invoicing turned on. And I can see all the jobs that are not set, that are pending, currently in progress, or the ones that are currently completed. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, and of course, I can sort them by salesperson, estimator, manager, or by crew lead. Right, very, very straightforward. Now, additionally, in your crew or in your jobs list, it's also available that you guys can filter by when your actual job was created. So if I look at jobs with or jobs for invoicing, okay, that are currently active, I can filter by when these jobs were created. And currently, I can filter by oldest, April 22nd of 21, to newest, August 28th of 2024, right? Really nice and easy. That's the job that we just created today, okay? Now, within our jobs, we've talked about the assignments. We now want to start putting together a digital binder for our crews. Remember, knowledge is power, right? Provide your crews with as much information about the job site as possible. Now, in order for you guys to do this, you're going to go to your job files button, and up in the action button in the top right-hand corner, you can link photos and file information that you guys have recorded or added to the actual CRM contact profile for Mark Johns. So if I go to the link file from the CRM, this is now going to go to the files section at the very top of the CRM contact profile. Or if I want the files that are specific to this job site, I can click on this little show files for job site only, And now this will provide me with the project's blueprints, okay, for this actual project. I'm going to link those files together. And now I've got an actual overview or an image that I can share with my crews to provide them for the lighting enhancement or the garden beds and patio or the garden beds and planting, okay, or whatever we're going to be doing on this particular property. And this will now be available for them in the LMN Crew Mobile App, okay? Lastly, we've got job groups. Now, job groups, again, we're very, very keen or very enthusiastic about the overall organization, okay, in LMN. So job groups just help you to organize your actual jobs. So in this case here, I can create as many job groups as I want. Now, with job groups, I can add this to my design build job group. So I have it organized by all of my design build jobs. If I've got, garden beds and planting, okay, gardening, yes. I've got lighting, I believe in here as well. JK, I do not have lighting jobs. So, okay, again, depending on what type of job groups I've set up in my account, I can add it to as many of those job groups as I need to. Job groups in LMN, just so everybody has a good understanding, you guys can create as many as you want. And you can also use these for running your reports. So rather than running an individual report for every single job and then trying to compile all that information, which is extremely inefficient, okay? Maybe I want to run a report on all of my design build jobs, or maybe I want to run a report on all my interlock jobs or all my lighting jobs or whatever the case may be. If that's the situation, okay, put them into job groups. Okay, this will make things really nice and easy for you. All right. So to create job groups in LMN, under your jobs tool, you'll see job groups on the left menu, and you can create your job groups here. When you're creating your job groups, there's two different types of groups that you can create: a standard job group for reporting purposes, or a routed job group that you guys can put a certain number of jobs in and route them out so that your crews know exactly where they need to go. Routed job groups are primarily used for snow operations and or green maintenance, okay? Mowing routes, irrigation routes, fertilization routes, and so on and so forth, okay? Not so much with design build because chances are probably pretty good you're going to be on that job site from start to finish every day. So you're not going to be going to more than one visit or more than one place. But if there are those types of occurrences, you can always create them as a routed job group as well, okay? So to create a job group, click on that plus new button, add in what that job group is. So let's just say I'm doing a lighting job group. Okay. I'm going to click on OK. And it will now ask me, is this going to be a standard job group for reporting purposes? Or is this going to be a routed job group? It's going to be standard. And if I want to look up that August 27th job, okay, I can add that here because I know that this is a lighting enhancement, okay? So I know that that job is in there. And if I want to run a report on this, okay, I can always run a report by my lighting jobs, and this job will be included in that detail as well, okay? So back to my jobs list. Let's look up our August 27th job. Okay, so we know that we've got our job files, our job groups. Okay, the other things that we've gonna want to just confirm are in your job, your punch-in tasks. So we know that we've got the garden beds at 108 man hours, the lighting at 50 man hours. If we open them up, we've got our task notes there. Okay, very nice and easy. We've got our extra work and changes that we're going to be charging hourly for. We need to now add in one of our hourly rates. Okay, so under our hourly rates, we're going to add in our hourly rate for design build labor. Okay, at $65 per man hour. Okay, so now if our crew clock into that extra, our changes and extras task and start billing by the hour, we're going to bill it out at $65 per man hour, right? Really nice and easy. Okay, history and photos. Currently, we don't have anything there, but this will basically outline all the times that your crews have clocked into this job site, what they did, how long they were there for, as well as all the feedback notes that they've left. If we go down to our invoicing and go to our invoicing activation, we can see that our contract has been set up. So invoicing is active for this job. And if we take a look at our invoicing schedule, we know what invoices need to be generated and when. Okay, so we know that we've got a deposit invoice, a project start invoice, and a project completed invoice. Okay, really straightforward. Okay, so that is essentially how easy it can be for you guys to create a job in your account from an original estimate import. So the best practices, okay, in regards to creating your jobs in LMN essentially are number one, take an estimate that's been approved to create jobs for time tracking. Sort your jobs in your jobs list by the date created to find those jobs really easily. The work areas that you guys created in your original estimate, so the garden beds and planting and the lighting, those are going to become the tasks that your crews are going to track their time against. And the crew notes that you added in, remember checklist item number 2. Okay, those are going to become task notes that will pre-populate for your crews once they clock into that actual task. Okay, I'm clocking into the lighting project. The instructions for doing that lighting project are immediately going to pop open for me and provide me with those instructions, right? Keeps things really nice and simple, really nice and straightforward. Okay, so we're 10 after 11. Okay, so before we get into our next half of our session, okay, I want to take a quick little break for 5 minutes. Okay, so let's say at 11:15, 11:16. Okay, let's go, grab a coffee, grab a glass of water. We've covered off, an hour and a bit of information so far. So let's give you guys a quick little break. Okay, go grab again a coffee, glass of water, stretch your legs, answer that email or that text message that's been bugging or that keeps gets sent through. Okay, and we'll meet back here in about 5 minutes and we'll resume job creation for design build. All right, so see you in 5. All right, everybody, welcome back. Hope you managed to stretch your legs, answer that text, answer the email, make that phone call, whatever you guys need to do. Hopefully, you grabbed another coffee. I know I did. I have my thermos going here, and it's going to take another sip. But more importantly, okay, we want to now continue on with other things that we're going to be walking you guys through today in LMN, like creating users within your account. How do you set them up, and how do you add in your staff members for timesheet purposes and or for permissions within your actual LMN account? So when you guys are setting up your users, okay, you're going to be going into your LMN account. So we'll just take a jump in there right now and walk you through those actual steps. So now that we've walked you through how to create your jobs, who's going to be able to see these jobs and how are they going to be able to use them? Well, in our settings menu, under our users and staff settings, okay, we want to manage those users and staff. Okay, so this is essentially where you're going to be adding in all of your staff members, including those in the field, okay, as well as the individuals that are going to be in your company working in your LMN account from the desktop level or from the desktop platform side of things. So if you want to add in a new employee, you're going to click on that little plus icon in the very bottom right-hand corner, and you're going to enter in their basic information. Now, the first thing that it's going to ask you is what type of user is this? Is this an office staff or crew lead, or is this a crew member? Now, with your subscription level, LMN will tell you exactly how many crew or how many employees you already have set up and how many you have available to you. And of course, if you want to add in more, you can always add more to your account on a in a block of users, okay, for any given member. So if you want to get more crew members or if you want to get more office staff and crew leads, okay, you can simply click the little get more button and it will basically allow you to add in another block of information. Okay, very, very straightforward. Okay, so going back to settings and back to our manage users and staff, if I want to add in a new crew member, okay, I can click on a crew member and then I can add in some of their information. Now, the next thing that it's going to ask you is, do you want this individual to have access to the LMN Crew mobile app? With regards to this, okay, the LMN Crew mobile app is available to every employee that you have in your account, whether they are administrators, foremen, or regular crew members. Crew members will not be allowed to clock in themselves or clock out or assign tasks to themselves and so on and so forth, but they will have visual information as to the timesheets that they've been logged against, okay, or they've been tracked on, okay, whatever your wording might be that makes it easy for you guys to remember this. So again, if they want to be able to view job history, their jobs only, or full access to every job that you have in your account and so on and so forth. Next, you've got your permissions. What are they allowed to see? Okay, so for a crew member, they will not have access to the LMN software itself. However, if you set them up as a office staff or crew lead and go into permissions, you will then have the ability to limit what permissions they have access to, right? If you have security administration or budgeting information, estimating information, CRM information, and so on and so forth, okay? Next is payroll, right? Enter in their employee ID number if they have one, and then enter in if you want to be warned that they've worked more hours than a certain amount in the course of a day. Hide them from payroll reports. This is great if you guys are going to be running, if you're going to be adding your subcontractors in there so they can track their time against the jobs that you've subcontracted to them, right? They're paid by salary or not hourly, or they can track employees. This is great for those employees that are crew leads. And of course, what staff group do they belong to? Okay, so again, keeping things very nicely organized. Now, staff groups do need to be set up independently. Okay, so again, if I click on cancel for now and discard my changes, under my managing users and staff, I can see the staff groups. Again, we're very, very key or very, very enthusiastic about helping you guys stay organized. So by creating staff groups, you can see which of your employees can do design build work, or which ones can do fertilization work, or which ones are foremen, okay? Who are your install crews, and so on and so forth, right? Again, more than, an employee can fit into more than one group. So if I myself, okay, am a foreman, I can be in the design build group, I could be in the internal office staff group, I could be in the maintenance group, I can be in the snow group, because I do kind of everything. I am the senior education specialist after all. But more importantly, don't think of this as one employee per group or one group per employee. Okay. It's basically an employee can be in as many different groups as they need to be in. Okay. So if you want to see who's in each one of your groups, well, you can go to your office staff and I can see who are in my office staff list. Okay. Very nice and easy. Right. So these are all my office staff list. If I want to filter by my crew leads for design build, okay, I can see who's on my design build crews. I can see who's on my maintenance crews if I need to, and so on and so forth, right? Again, it just keeps things really nice and organized. Now, if I take a look at myself, for instance, okay, there's some other information that you guys are going to want to capture when you're creating your actual staff members. So we know here that I'm part of the office staff and crew lead team. Okay, I can view all the data that's in LMN, and I have access to the LMN Crew Mobile App. I've got my email address, my phone number, and I can be set up to also incorporate my Greenius training. So for those of you that are also taking part in our Greenius software, okay, you can also have the Greenius training material available to them within the LMN Crew mobile app as well. Okay. Now, if I need to edit any of this information, I can click on that edit staff member, and I've got the basic account information where I would enter in my email address, my phone number, and my username and password. But more importantly, there's time tracking and payroll information that also needs to be set up. So for payroll settings, we've already covered this. I'm on a salary and I can track employees. What's really important, guys, for especially for job costing moving forward, is identifying what each employee's cost of wages is, or wage cost information. So every employee that you guys are adding into your account, you should make sure that you've got their wage cost information, especially if you're planning on using our job costing feature. You need to know what it costs you in man hours or in labor against the actual job or the estimated values that you had included in your original proposal. So in this case here, if I'm tracked on any of my jobs, I know that it costs me $44.84 per man hour of my labor when I'm clocked into that job site. Okay, so this information is vital. We know that I'm part of these different groups. We can see the timesheets that I've been recorded on as well. We can see, a date range if I want to look at the past 30 days, 90 days, 80, 180 days, whatever the case may be. I can see all the timesheets that I've been recorded on. And if I want to get detailed information about these jobs, I can simply click on that date and I can pull up the actual timesheet of that job. Okay, go back to users and staff. Okay, I can hide jobs from a crew or from an individual, and I can hide staff from an individual. Be very careful with this feature. Okay, so if you have a design build foreman who does not need to see any of your maintenance jobs, you can click on the hide jobs feature and basically hide all of the maintenance jobs, but allow them to see all of the design build jobs. So I can go into my DB jobs. Okay, remember job groups, very, very important. Keep things organized. I want to basically add all of these to show Chris, in this case, all of the design build jobs that are available. So I would just click on each one of these individually, okay, and it would add them all into the list for me, right? So I can see all of these jobs in the app versus jobs that I cannot see, okay, so on and so forth. So I'm going to close this because I want to make sure that I can see all the jobs. All right, so that's setting up your users and staff, okay? It's very, very straightforward. Okay, it's very, very simple, but again, please be careful with the hide jobs and hide staff feature moving forward. Make sure that the individuals that you want that individual or that employee to be able to see are in the visible list, okay, not in the hidden list, okay? So all that being said, we want to now take a look at your LMN Crew mobile app. Okay, and show you guys what the LMN Crew mobile app will allow you, or will allow your crew members to be able to record and see when they're in the actual job site. Now, the LMN Crew mobile app is, again, very, very easy to use. Its basic purpose is to track your labor hours from the field for payroll purposes so that you can accurately pay out the amount of hours that they've worked. So this will basically allow you to not have any more skipped or missed payroll hours. So your payroll will be accurate. The app will also provide you GPS verification and location for where that crew is at any given time when they're on a job site. For time and material work, it will allow for accurate hourly billing as well as per material or per equipment billing as well. When it comes to maintenance work, the jobs that they are assigned to do or scheduled to do on a certain day will all be optimized out so they're in an efficient route so that they're not wasting their time driving. They're maximizing their on-site time and minimizing their windshield time. And all the data that's recorded in the LMN Crew mobile app is easily and instantly transmitted over to you at the desktop level. Okay, so let's take a high level look at the LMN Crew mobile app together and show you guys how the LMN Crew mobile app actually works. All right, so just gonna get my phone connected here, and I believe we are already. And let me just share it with everybody. Okay, so once it's been downloaded onto your device, okay, you can have the LMN Crew mobile app up and running. So with LMN Crew, first thing that normally will happen is if your crew lead is already or individual is already logged into the app, they'll be logged in automatically. So for today's purposes, I'm going to just simply log out, okay, and show you how you can log in. LMN has created 3 different methods for you to be able to log into the LMN Crew mobile app with the phone number that's in their employee profile, the email address that's in their employee profile, or the username and password that you have set up for their employee profile. Now, the easiest way to do this is via the phone number. So with this, if I've entered my phone number in before, I could just simply add it in, click on continue. And with 2-step verification, LMN will automatically send me over a text message to let me know what my access code is. And I apologize, I'm in an area that has really poor service, but you can see there that it popped up. I'm going to click on allow and copy. And in this case here, I'm going to enter in that code. Okay, and I can get logged in. Email does the same thing. You enter in your email address, and email will be automatically sent over to that crew member or that employee, and they'll have that code. They'll enter the code in, and with username and password, they'll just enter in what their established username and password is. Okay. You cannot see my crew app. Hold on a second here. How about now? All good? Perfect. All right. Thanks, Jennifer. All right. So now that you can see my crew app, okay. So to kind of go back a little bit, all right. If I log into the LMN Crew mobile app, I'm going to log into Big Mac Landscaping. Okay. Again, just to kind of reiterate what I wasn't showing before, I'm going to log out. Okay. I'm going to clock on the phone number. I'm going to enter in my phone number here. Okay. So there's my phone number. Don't write it down. Okay. Click on continue. And again, I'm going to get a text message that verifies my code or my 2-step verification in a second, hopefully. Come on. Okay. Is that the code? Resend. I apologize. I'm in an area or my house is in a spot where it's just very, very poor cell reception. So I should get the code in a second. I got it before. You know what? We're going to use username and password because then it just eliminates it. So here we can just put in my username and password. So it's ACA Chris. Okay, and then my password is just simply LMN123. Sign in. Okay, I'm signed in. So again, username and password and or phone number and or email, depending on how easy, okay, or depending on the strength of your cell phone signal. So now that I'm logged in, you'll notice at the very top of the page, we've got a calendar view where I can see what's currently going on for today. So again, it's highlighted in green. I can see what's going on tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, what we did yesterday, what we did the day before, and so on and so forth. So I can see all of that information. In the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner, I can see the current amount of hours that I've worked between August 26th and September 1st for this payroll period. So on Tuesday, yesterday, I know that I worked 7 hours and 30 minutes. Again, I've got access to my Greenius training as well by clicking on Greenius. And of course, I've got my crew tracking turned on, where if I clock on this, I can see where every employee currently is or currently active. If I want to look at a particular employee, for instance, I can see that LMN Academy has got no recorded time today, or I can expand it for everybody to see if anybody is currently being recorded on a timesheet somewhere, okay, for today. All right, very, very straightforward. Now, additionally, if I go into my settings menu, I can set up my GPS to be allowed so that my administrators can see where I am and where I'm currently working. I can have my map servicing turned on if I don't know where to go to get to an actual location, okay, to a job site. I can have my map service turned on where I can change between the two different apps that I use for GPS routing. So I'm going to use Waze, for instance, okay. Push notifications so I can get those notifications like the 6-digit verification code numbers and so on and so forth. But more importantly, I can have notifications turned on or reminders set up to remind me to start my timesheet every day, submit my timesheet every day, submit them and open them on a Saturday or Sunday, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the cool features that LMN also offers with the LMN Crew Mobile App is being able to capture troubleshooting from the field. Okay, and this is in relation to this haptic feedback offer or this opportunity here at the very bottom. This feature will allow, and if everybody can just quickly not look at my screen, but maybe look at the little video at the very top with me in it. Okay, by shaking the device, okay, you'll notice here that the actual screen will pop up so we can report a bug, suggest an improvement, or ask a question. Okay, your crew leads do not need to go in and try and find where to find this. All they need to do is just shake their phone and the haptic feedback feature will open up for them and they can put in a description of what's going on. Okay, this goes right to our development team and we'll be working on it immediately. Right, so again, it comes up really, really quite easily. Right, so I'm going to discard that. We've got our terms and conditions and of course our privacy at the very bottom. Now, when your crews are actually getting started for the day, it's going to ask them what are they working on. So here we can select from what we've got scheduled for today, maybe pick a particular route or job or our job group or a particular job in general. So in this case, that job that we just created, I'm going to click on our routes and groups. And here I'm going to select my actual lighting job group. Okay, so I'm going to type in lighting. Okay, so there's my lighting job group, and there's the actual job that we created today. Okay, so now within that job, I can click on the job and I can get all the information. There's our 108 hours for the garden beds and planting, or 50 hours for the lighting. And of course, the extra work and changes and warranty repairs if we should happen to need that as well. At the very top, I've got my job files available to me where I can see the photo that we uploaded, right? This is the project's blueprint. And of course, if I want to, I can go in and see the instructions for the task. Okay, there's the gate codes and so on and so forth for this actual job. Now, if I look at the garden beds and planting, for instance, I can see that I got specific instructions for here. There's the gate code, large garden in the front lawn, and possibly a smaller one in the back. I think I got that confused a little bit earlier. And of course, if I look at the lighting and look at the instructions for the lighting, there's the front walkway to main entry and entrance lighting. Here's my tools and my installation that's required, right? So again, all this information is very, very laid out easily and accurately. If I want to change my crew for the day, I can take out Alex, Dwight, or Jim at whatever case may be. So I'll take Alex, I'm going to take him out. And so it's just going to be Jim, Dwight, and myself for the day. Close that off. And now it's just the three of us. If I need to add in any other employee, I can click on my name and I can add in any other crew member that happens to be with us this day as well. Okay. Additionally, I can enter in that Alex is not with us today because Alex is actually absent for the day because he's sick. Okay. And he has the flu. Okay, so we're just going to write in here that he has the flu. Okay, click on save. Okay, so we know that he's been marked absent and he's sick because he's got the flu. Okay, really nice and easy, right? So we know what those notes actually are. If anybody was late, we can mark them late, right? However long they were late, and so on and so forth. Okay, so very, very straightforward. Now, when we're in our actual job, if we're going to be driving to the job site, we want to drive over there. So I'm going to start my time to drive over there. And I'm going to say we're going to be doing the drive time, and we're going to start our drive time at, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning. Oop, 8. Okay, 8 a.m. Done. Okay, so the three of us are driving over to the job site. We're going to start our time. So we're going to track our windshield time. Waze is going to pop up for me because that's what I selected in my mapping options, and it's going to show me how I can get to that actual property and provide me with all the accurate routes to go. Okay, really straightforward, really simplified. Okay, so we're driving over, and once we get to the actual property, we'll take a look at that actual job that we're working on, which is 92 White Heather Boulevard, and we're going to start on the lighting project. Okay, so let's say we got to the job site at 8:30. Okay, please bear in mind, okay, that you will not have to do this manual time change. Okay, when your crews are actually in the field, they'll just track what time they got there and what time they started with the current clock. I'm only doing it because it's 11:30 in the morning and I wanted to kind of get some time records going on this project, right? So click on done, click on save changes, start. Okay, it will automatically tell us that we've got to end our old task. So we're going to end our drive time from 8:30. So LMN will automatically tell us that we're now doing the lighting project. Here's our instructions for the lighting project. Okay. Okay. And again, we've got our job files available to us so that we know exactly what we're doing. Okay. And if we take a look at our timesheet for today, we can see that our drive time has been completed. Okay. And that we're currently working on our actual White Heather Boulevard. Okay. Very, very straightforward. We can review our timesheet. We can see what we're done and what we're currently clocked into, right? Really nice and easy. So again, lighting, start our time on our lighting. Okay. Start our task. All right. So now we're currently clocked into the lighting job. LMN color codes things really nice and easy for you to show what's been completed is in blue and what you're currently working on is in purple with a nice little clock icon to kind of give you that you're currently tracking your time on that. So if I finish doing my lighting job, okay, we're going to basically finish our time. And I said that we were doing this on the 25th, didn't I? Oh, I messed this one up. So we're going to delete the data for this one. And we're going to do it again so that we know what we're doing. Okay, 30, start our time, start our task. Okay, well, more than 24 hours. Okay, anyway, this is where your crews can enter in their visit instructions. Oh, I see that we've got a question here. Is there any way to give just crew members the ability to upload progress photos or crew notes when on location? So Jennifer, great question. At this point, when your crew members have access to the LMN Crew Mobile App, it's going to be the crew lead that enters in that information. Okay, so keep that in mind, that the crew member, and kind of to give you an idea of what a crew member can look at while they're in the app. I'll show that to you guys in a moment. But essentially, when the crew members clock in, okay, so just a regular crew member, not a crew lead, they'll be able to see the job that they're working on, their timesheet records, how many hours they've been clocked in for the week, how their hours have been calculated out for regular time, overtime, double time, and so on and so forth. So they can accurately track how many hours they've been recorded on for payroll. They will not be able to add in any photos or notes. Okay, so that is up to a crew lead and or foreman. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question for you. All right, so we are now going to end our task on this job. So we're going to end our time at 11 o'clock. Okay, we're going to save our changes. We're going to end our time, so 8:30 to 11. Click on next. We'll add in our notes. We can put in here done prep. There's our weather instructions, so we know it's 23 or 73. We can add in our equipment notes as to what piece of equipment we use while we're on the job site. Click on done. Click on next. We can add in photos now, so I can go to my downloads folder and I can add in any photos of the project that we've been working on. Now, a nice handy little feature that was added to the LMN Crew Mobile app is the ability to add in multiple photos at the same time. So I can upload all those individual photos all at the same time. Okay, so they're just going to get tracked here and checked off. So there's our 4 photos. Click on next, click on end. Okay, and now we've got our drive time, our total time on site times how many employees, our overall timesheet. We know that Alex is absent, Chris, Dwight, and Jim. We can review the timesheet to show what our overall progress was like in relation to unproductive time versus productive time. So remember, we recorded an hour and a half of unproductive or unbillable time versus 7.5 hours, or sorry, 2 hours and 30 minutes per employee for productive time. So we're 83% efficient. Okay. And of course, then we can submit our timesheet. Okay. We did not take a lunch today. We submit. Okay. And now our timesheet has been submitted. So for those of you back at the office on your timesheets, you can look at your daily review tab where you're going to be able to see what's been submitted by each crew member each day. So we're going to go to the 28th. And I think I put this in on the 25th, which I did. Okay, not sure how that happened, but anyway. So on the 25th, from 8 to 8:30, we were doing driving, and then we went to 92 White Heather Boulevard from 8:30 to 11:30. We finished our prep, our overcast clouds. We can see the photos that were uploaded. Okay, very nice and easy. If we need to, we can download all those photos if necessary. These are also shared with our customers via the customer portal. If I go into our actual live crew tracking, I can see where a crew member was versus where they might be. So if I want to look at all of our foremen, okay, I can see who was where and when. So Jeremy, okay, for today this is the job site location. This is where he currently is and where he was when he clocked in. Okay, I can look at job location. Okay, and I can select my lighting job. Okay, so there's our lighting job and any history related to that job. Sunday, August 25th from 8:30 to 11, done the prep, overcast clouds. There's all of our photos. Okay, if we look at the overall visit details, we can see who was on that job site. Okay, so that's your live job tracking and live crew tracking. If we want to edit the timesheet, we can go into our timesheet list and we can look at the timesheet that was done on the 25th, where we'd be able to get all the information. Crew lead was Chris. We reached the goal of 83%. Okay, 7 hours and 30 minutes of job time, 1.3 hour or 1.5 hours of shop time for a total of 9 hours, 83% efficient. We can see exactly what was done. Okay, and now when we go to approve the timesheet for that day, we can take a look at this one and we can see that we have Alex, who was absent and sick. If we open this one up, Okay. We'll be able to see where they were when they actually did it, what edits were made throughout the course, and of course, any photos and comments that were updated and uploaded to the timesheet. If you're okay with this, okay, you can simply click on approve this timesheet and it will now be approved and it will now be off of your submitted list. All right. So again, you'll do this not every day, probably once a week, whatever the cases might be, but it does make things really nice and easy for you guys to be able to see what's been going on throughout the course of the day. Okay. So all that being said, okay, there's one last thing that we want to start walking you guys through today, and that's actually how you can, oh, I'm not sure why that slide came back up. Okay, is creating a job from scratch. Okay, we got about 15 minutes left, so we shouldn't take too long on this one, but we wanted to show you that obviously creating a job from an estimate is the absolute easiest way to do things, right? All the information that was contained within the original estimate is populated in that job. So you have your tasks, your task notes, your contract, files information, and so on and so forth. Now, when you're creating a job from scratch, this is where that data entry comes into play, or the potential for any mistakes. So keep in mind that when you guys are creating a job in LMN, okay, from scratch, there are some steps that need to be followed. All right. So to create a job from scratch in your LMN account, okay, number one, you're going to go into your jobs list, because this is where all your jobs are stored, which is where your new job is going to be placed. Okay. Basically click on that plus new at the very top and search for your customer. So I'm going to search for good old Mark Johns because he's our typical customer. I want the Mark Johns residential customer. And in this case, why is it coming up as Aiden Rowe? Let's take a look here. Let's look up the Johns residence. Okay. And select that customer. And we're going to just select we're going to use the Markham job site, okay, at Lundy Drive. So I'm just going to rename this one as OG 28 scratch job, okay, and we're going to copy that information so that it falls in here. And if I want to change the job type to one of the other ones that I've added in, maybe I want to do this as an enhancement job, okay. Okay, and then of course it's going to be for our enhancement services and so on and so forth. Click on OK. Now, when the job gets created, unlike creating a job from an estimate, okay, I have to populate all the information myself. I have all the CRM contact information because that's how I created the job in the first place. But if I go into timesheet tracking and I look at my punch-in tasks, I don't have anything here. So if I'm doing a sod installation, for instance, okay, okay, I would want to put in here that we're doing a sod installation. So I would enter in what my crews are going to be clocking into, and that we're going to be doing a design build sod install that we're going to track by the hours and rates for billing by the hour. Going to put in here backyard, going to be 260 square feet of sod and base. Okay. So we estimate that this is going to take us roughly 30 man hours of work. Okay, we're going to click on yes. Okay, so now that we've entered in that task to be billed out by an hourly rate or be tracked for billing by the hour, LMN will automatically tell us that we need to have an hourly rate added in here. So we'll click on hourly rates. We'll add in our design build labor. Okay, at $65 per man hour. If I want to change this, I can. Right? I can make this 50, I can make it 65, I can make it 70, whatever the case may be, but we're going to leave it at the 65. Click on update. But now we need to add in the other billable materials, right? So materials and equipment, I'm going to have to add in equipment. Okay. So I'm going to add in from my price list our crew truck and our maintenance trailer, or sorry, our install trailer. Crew truck and install trailer. Okay. And I'm going to turn this on so that we invoice this out that it is billable by the unit or by the day. So in this case, it's going to be $100, $180.60. Click on save. Default quantity of 1 day or potentially 3 days. Okay. And invoicing per unit per day. Okay. And then other materials that we're going to need are going to be the sod. Okay. So we're going to add in our sod from our price list. Per square foot. Okay. And again, what we're going to be billing for that, we're doing 260 square feet. Invoicing per unit. Okay. We're going to charge $2.50 per square foot. Click on save and done, right? So again, time and material work does take a little bit of manual entry, right? You're going to have to put all of this in here. Last thing that we're going to need to do is turn on or activate our invoicing. Now, this step is actually really, really easy, okay? Go to your invoicing activation, and because this is a time and material job, and we're going to rely on our crew leads to provide us with the amount of hours plus the amount of materials that were used on this job site, we can set up the job for invoicing, and that's all we need to do, okay? Just highlight that this is for progress invoicing or for an install job and click on save, okay? It becomes very, very easy, right? Again, identify the cost code so it matches up with your QuickBooks account, okay? But that's it, okay? We're doing time and material. We don't know how long it's going to take us. We don't know how much we're going to use and so on and so forth. We think it's going to take us 30 hours. It might take us more. It might take us less, okay? Whatever the case might be. But in that case, we have our tasks, okay? We've got our sod installation with 30 hours. If we go to our materials and equipment, we've got our crew truck that we're billing out at $180 per day and $250 per square feet of for the sod. I should be changing that to probably $8 a square foot to be fair. Okay. And if there were any other materials that you're going to be using for this, you would also include this in here as well. Okay. But that essentially is setting up a time and material type job. So it does require a little bit of work, okay, or a little bit of manual entry, okay, to move forward on this moving forward, okay? So essentially, guys, that's job creation in a nutshell, all right? I say a nutshell, but it was a 2-hour nutshell. So essentially, everybody, okay, that is job creation, okay? We've talked about how you can create a job the easy way from an estimate import. We talked about creating a job from a time and material type aspect from scratch. Showed you guys how you can set up your users. Showed you guys the LMN Crew Mobile App. So there was a lot that we actually covered off here today together, okay? So to recap what we've covered, okay, again, I kind of just already did that, but reality is we learned how the easiest way is to create your job from an original estimate, create a job from scratch. We showed you the live crew tracking feature, which is available to all of you when you guys are using your LMN Crew mobile app. You'll be able to see where they were when they clocked in and so on and so forth. Showed you guys how you can track the overall progress of your job and also showed you some of our cool reports and ways that you can analyze some of the data that Element is going to give you moving forward. Now, if you have any questions about anything that I've covered off here today, please feel free to go into that chat or into that Q&A box at the very bottom of your screen. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. While you guys are doing that, okay, I do want to ask you a couple questions myself. So I've just launched a quick little poll on screen right now. It's 3 questions. So do your best to go through those questions and answer them as best as you possibly can. In the meantime, additionally, please be aware that these live virtual trainings are open to any registrations as possible. So if you want to do job creation for design build again, then feel free. They are held every single Wednesday at the same time from 10 to 12 p.m. or sorry, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday. Okay. Additionally, keep in mind as well that we are currently or going to be hosting in-person training for 4 days coming to a location near you. So keep in mind or pay attention, okay, to emails that we're sending out or to when you guys are logging into your LMN account. we will let you know when those 4-day training sessions will be happening. We're currently offering 2-day sessions, in-person training for snow removal with LMN. So currently, Christian is in Pittsburgh. I was in Columbus, Ohio last week. I believe next week we're going to be in Indianapolis, and the week after that we're going to be in Denver, Colorado. So if you're interested in how you can use LMN for your snow operations, check out our help and resources menu on our main webpage and check out our 2-day snow sessions. Additionally, also remember that on these key dates, Mark Bradley will be hosting an actual sales, customer care, and operational efficiency with snow management sessions at 2 p.m. on the 10th of September, the 24th of September, the 17th of September, and of course, October 22nd. So check this out. Okay, these are going to be very, very key pieces of information if you guys are using LMN for snow. Additionally, we also offer a weekly industry mastermind session every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. So again, you can register for each one individually or for every session. They are complimentary. So please check these ones out. And finally, always remember that you don't always have to listen to me or Jay or Shishini when it comes to our live virtual trainings. You can learn yourself by checking out our help desk and or our virtual academy classroom. So there's a lot of ways that you guys can learn how to use your LMN account from us. All right. So thank you everybody for joining me today. I hope you guys have, a good understanding of how you guys can create your jobs. So on behalf of LMN and the education team here, we want to say thank you again. Please stay well. Please stay safe if you're heading out into the field. And I look forward to seeing you guys at one of our next sessions very, very soon. All right. So take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you again shortly. All right. Take care. Goodbye.